Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to the Manny and Sean Experience Podcast. It's been forever,
It's been a minute, but we back.
but we back. And we're back with a special guest. So, what a way to start, right? With a bang with a guest. And stick around, stay tuned. We're going to talk to him out next.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Well, here we are again, another episode. I don't even know what episode number this is today, but I'm sure the description will tell you.
Oh, God.
It's been a month, yo. It's been a month since we have been in this little teeny office recording this pod.
It's been a while, but we are back with the new episode and we have some exciting things planned for the future. So,
Yes, future planning, or as my therapist says, future tripping, which you shouldn't do.
And if you didn't know, this is,
My name is Manny.
and I'm Sean.
I just figured everybody that's tuning in has been listening to us for 3 years.
This might be someone's first video.
But hi, welcome. It's good to have you here. My name is Manny. I come from the beautiful island of San Juan.
We didn't have to do all that.
Oh, okay. I'm 41.
Anyway, today, guys, we have a special guest, Dave Borman from the Tampa Bay Gay.com website. He does a few other things, which we're going to get into in this interview on the other side of the mixtape. Stay tuned.
You're in the mix.
All right, we are in the mixtape and we have our very special guest with us today. He is the creator of Tampa Bay Gay. He is also a radio host of the Big Gay radio show. Please welcome Dave Borman.
Hi, guys. Hello. Thank you for having me.
How are you doing today, sir?
Doing good. Enjoying. I just got back from vacation. I was telling you guys, and enjoying the warmer weather for sure.
Yeah.
It's a little humid today, though. I was like,
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, the
take the
weather
good with
is
the bad, I guess.
Exactly. It's been going up and down here lately. We start on chilly mornings and then end on hot afternoons.
Right. That's right. Welcome to Florida, and then the
Yes.
bugs come.
Oh, yes, the bugs. We're so happy to have you on our show. This has been a long time coming. We've been
Yes.
trying to get our schedules to align for a while. But we're going to dive in and get going with the interview and ask you
All
a
right.
couple of questions.
All right, sounds good. Let's do it.
Awesome. So you've had a very varied career, starting
Yes.
since you were in high school.
Yes.
So in working in different forms of media, what sparked your initial interest in broadcasting and media?
So I've always been one more in the behind the scenes. Never really been wanting to be in front of the camera. I wouldn't say I'm an introvert, but I really don't. I'm not really out there. So putting myself out there is always something that's difficult for me. But
Yeah.
so working behind has always been my thing. And I started off, I did in high school. I just saw what TV production could do and how you could get your story across and talk about things you like and share your ideas and share your thoughts. And, I don't want to say pushing things that you like, but, that was what we did in high school. We pushed what we like to do, and that was it, and highlight those things. And we won awards. We went, we went on field trips to North Carolina, where I even wanted to go to school for college, for news and broadcast. Unfortunately, financially, that would have been a huge mistake. But yeah, it was. So I don't know what it was. It was about that, and I just decided I wanted to get into broadcast media, and I started my career in that. Started doing radio. Did the stuff in high school. Started doing some radio my senior year, and then moved over to home shopping. And then between radio and home shopping, I really just decided the mainstream kind of thing is not really for me.
Yeah.
You're allowed creativity, but you're not allowed creativity, if that makes
Got
sense.
it. It does.
Especially nowadays.
Yeah, right.
So I know you've shared a couple of other things that kind of led to your career. We noticed that you had received some awards in high school for your production skills. What are some of the key lessons you learned during that time that have stayed with you now as you've kind of continued your career?
I honestly, probably the one thing consistently that's fallen through is the working a little bit better under pressure. I plan things out. I'll try and plan things out, make sure it's, in my head, it runs this way, this way, this way. And then you get there and forget it. It's not exactly how you planned it. So, working under pressure, making sure stuff gets out, figuring out how you're going to change ideas. That has kind of stayed with me consistently, which has kind of helped me in, in the big picture. I've always had the thought process of, don't run to the story, run to the people beside the story, because they have the story. Everybody else is doing the story. So the story that comes from somebody else might be something different, and nobody looks into that. And that was something else that stuck with me. It's like, sometimes you don't need to be in the spotlight to see how much of the impact is being made by people around you. So those have kind of stuck with me.
Yeah, those are like the untold voices, right? That are really a part of the story. That you get the nice fabricated story on TV, what they want you to hear, and then it's the people around that are like living, like in a hurricane, for example.
Sure,
we were the people that lived through it, but they were interviewing all the politicians about the hurricane. It's like, the story was really the people that were suffering during the hurricanes.
Right, and that's the common. But that's not what's, that's not what advertisers and executive producers want. They want, this is our idea, this is what we want, and that's great. But, not everybody falls into that category. And I think it really gives the opportunity for others to, like us, when digital media came out, allowing us to do podcasts and bring videos and things like that on our level. And the editing equipment. I mean, I would sit in an editing booth with VHS tapes, cut, pause, playback, listen, no, re-edit. I mean, it was just constant. Now it's like 2 clicks, a button. Oh, messed up, go back and undo. It's like no big deal.
Yeah.
It's, so it's given us all an ability to get our content out. And, that's one of the things that I've now kind of pushed what I do now with Tampa Bay Gay, pushing it in another direction, because the digital content is where it is. I mean, that's what people are really interested in. That's what people are, and our voices in the LGBTQ plus community, I think are so muffled by all the other stuff. And it just like, I just feel like we have such great people. I mean, we have talented singers, actors, podcast people. I mean, there's so many of us in Tampa Bay alone.
Right.
And, so I think this is a great outlet, and for people, digital media at least has been a great outlet.
Yeah. So you mentioned working at HSN, which is the Home Shopping Network, which used to be in our backyard in St. Pete. They have since closed their doors recently. Working there, what kind of understanding of media production and audience engagement did you learn from working at the Home Shopping Network? And what did you do?
So I started off production. So basically I did on-air production is where I started. So any product that you saw on television, with a ring sitting, rotating like this, we were responsible for setting that up. You give a copy to the host, you give a copy that goes on a turntable, and then you have a backup copy in case something happens, somebody wants to wear one. Model or something like that. So I was in charge of that, and that's basically your first door into production. And that's pretty much everybody that wants a seat in production, at least full time, you had to kind of go through that round. So so I really focused a lot on just getting that stuff done, getting the opportunity. And as time went on, they said, "Hey, listen, somebody's sick on cameras. Can you go in the studio and run cameras?" No problem. "Hey, we have a pre-production video that needs to be done. Jewelry needs to be set out. We need a camera person and a floor director for the guests. Can you fill in on that?" So eventually it just got into adding more and more, and just making it my ability as to wherever I needed to be. So I really ran pretty much every production position, up to producing when we had a really bad hurricane. I don't want to age myself. There was a really bad hurricane. They had to ship everybody to Georgia, and they had a skeleton crew left back here. And there was about 6 of us who rotated 3 days, running production and from there. And then of course the bringing in all the live feed. So that was, that was, and then I got injured on the job, and and then that was that.
That's the end of the HSN.
Yeah, I went into a show host with a camera, and I don't know if you guys have been in a studio, but they have the cables are very slippery, because they glide on the floor. So when you move cameras around, they slide, they don't stick and pull, the camera doesn't shake and things like that. So I was going in with a handheld camera over my head to the host, and I slipped on cables. Instead of throwing forward, I went backwards, and I was fine. No, nothing was seen, but my foot was hurting. And it was a stress fracture that they discovered 3 months later. Finally, after workman's comp said, "No, there's nothing wrong with you." And then they're like, "Oh, wait, there is something wrong with you." And and then it just, they started refusing treatment for rehab at the end after 3 months of being in a boot cast. And then I was done with corporate America.
I understand.
I don't remember her name, but I think she was a prominent HSN host, I would say. Mm-hmm. She lived in Canada, if I understood correctly. She flew in and out of Canada, and I checked her in I don't know how many times when I worked at the airport. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if you know who that might be. It could just, but
there was a lot. I've met Suzanne Summers, probably the biggest name I met there. A lot of the clothing designers, a lot of the makeup, hair people that come in with their product. Jennifer Flavin Stallone with Serious Skincare, phenomenal products, by the way. Used since the beginning. Billy Mays, I have a knife set from the Ginsu knife set that he personally gave me. So I met that side of it was really, really cool. You really got to meet people. You got to see them outside of their, you got to see their working element, but then you got to see their prep for working and things like that, which is really, really, really cool in the industry. But, it's just mainstream media and corporate media is just, it's so cutthroat. It's so focused and driven in a certain direction. And it's just, we can do better than that stuff,
Yeah, definitely.
So we've been following each other for a while on socials and kind of seeing what you do with Tampa Bay Gay. I see it as a vital resource for the LGBTQ plus community.
Thank you.
What inspired you to create it, and what was kind of your initial vision of Tampa Bay Gay?
All right, so that's actually, I'm kind of glad you asked, because so I developed the website. I worked when I got out of HSN in that area, I went into working for a company, a digital media company it was an age verification service is what the actual name was. So basically, we processed credit cards for porn on the internet. We sold memberships, and and then people would develop content, and then they would get a password that goes into any of the websites that they wanted. So it was one password gets you into all things like Adult Check, Net Verifier is the company I work for. It was huge at the time. Again, that was the beginning of all this internet stuff. And so I was constantly bombarded with that type of content. in my life. And I'd go out to the gay scene, and what I'd find, unless I could find a watermark, it was the same kind of thing. You go online, there's no content. There's no, where do you go for a gay doctor? And then you find like, two doctors in a, hey, Dr. Brown, like, and it's like, wait a minute, this is not what I need, a doctor, not
Right.
and there was a lack of resources, especially here in Tampa. And it was frustrating being a gay person that wasn't looking for that kind of listen, I know where I could find it. I worked for a company that provided it. Like
Right.
But where can we find resources? Where can we find doctors? Where can I find attorneys that are specific to my needs and understand what we need as a community? And that's when I was like, all right, this is great that I can pick up Watermark. It was a fantastic resource. But guess what? You had to go to a club. There was nothing online that you could find. What if I was a closeted person and I was curious and I want to find a resource for a doctor who maybe can help me, or somebody that I can speak to, a counselor, or even a bank, even going
Right.
into a bank and being able to do your banking needs with somebody you feel comfortable with and isn't just trying to, chase you down the wrong page. It's like, so I came up with this idea, and I was like, and at the time I called it an online magazine. And I was like, well, let's just produce an online magazine. I got to work. I was working for that company. And then they laid me off, and, I was like, all right, I'm going to do this full time. Let's just dive right into it. So I was finishing up college at the time. I was using the website as my senior project. And I just started putting a lot of time and effort into that, probably about 8 months. It was a lot of sales work, a lot of in your face. And again, I'm not so much like that. So I kind of, it's like, I feel like I have a product. This is the product I offer. If you like it, jump on board, join me. If you don't, I'm not going to knock on your door, pound you, hound you, just be all over you. It's just that's not my style. I hate when that's done to me, and I can't imagine it being done, me doing it to somebody else. So from there, I just decided maybe this isn't what I want to spend my full-time thing doing, because I'm not liking what I do.
Right.
And it was that transition over. And magically, I got a call from the company I was working for. We'd love to have you come back. We've lost X amount of dollars. Well, I ran a gay division of their verification service, and it brought in about $1.5 million a year.
Oh, wow.
And when I left, they lost about 3/4 of that, like within months. And they were like, no, it's because of your connections with, we called them webmasters at the time. It's your connections with the webmasters. It's your communication. It's the whole way you organize it. And we need that back. We need that revenue. So I was brought back on my terms.
I'm sure you were.
And unfortunately, my terms were to be 100% vested at 5 years. And at 4 years and 50 months, or 4 years and 50 weeks, they terminated my position.
Corporate.
So then it was the next shift. And then I decided, I went on with changing a career, and just said, you know what, I'm just going to stick to Tampa Bay Gay. I'm going to focus on this, and just try and keep these resources out there, keep it going. It went to doing interviews. It went to resources. Then I started winning the Watermark Awards, which at the time were Waves. Now they're Wonder. The Wonder Awards. And back in the day, I was first place. Now it's a tough ride for first place in the positions I'm in.
I think one that's wonderful, because we do need resources. Like when I first came to Tampa, I had a primary doctor who I did not feel comfortable explaining who I was or any of that, because they didn't give off the energy that they would be receptive to that. So like that was something that I felt like I couldn't share with my doctor, which is sad,
Right.
but true. And then eventually I found Metro, which is amazing. I love my doctor. I love the nurses there. I love the care they give there. But it's really hard to find those resources for the community, because you do want to feel like you are spending your money or you are getting help in places where someone's not going to discriminate against you or judge you. You just want to feel like you're going to do the things that you need to do and they're accepting of who you are. So I applaud you for
Absolutely.
that.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Go ahead.
just to echo that, I hope that's motivating for you to continue the work that you do, because I had some of the most atrocious doctor experience when I got here to Tampa, to the point where I told one doctor that I was gay, and she proceeded to put on gloves and a mask to treat me. There was no blood work involved when she was talking. It was just an initial consultation, and from that moment, I stopped going to the doctor for many years because I just didn't feel comfortable. So I think the work that you're doing is so important, not only for the younger youth in our community, but also the older youth, the closeted folks that are still out there, so they can go somewhere safe and find those resources. So I just find inspiring what you do, and
Thank you. I
it's
really
needed in the
appreciate that.
community.
Yeah, no, it does, and it's. I mean, again, I've been doing this I've had the website for 24 years, and it's been. I mean, it has changed a lot. It's changed a whole lot. It's probably changed design formats probably 3 or 4 times. And pushing the content has changed. Events calendars with Facebook being as big as it was. I used to have personals. I used to have events calendars, but I have to listen to my audience, and my audience says, we'll go to Facebook for that, or we'll do this for that. So it's been a constant change. And one thing I've been very, very happy with is the relationships and the communication that I do have with the people who do join the webs, who do follow the website. I have people on my email list who've been there 24 years, from the beginning. And it's, so I've had people that had met on the personal site that I had that are still together years later. So it's all these things make me like, okay, what I've done has worked. It might listen, the website might not be somebody's cup of tea. It might be something, it's a little, the format's not what we want to see. Well, I'm one person running this, and I've been doing it. So unless you want to step up to the plate and bring some, bring some of your webmaster ideas along, I mean, I'm all for it. We can partner up and do whatever. But right now, you get the max I can get. The content is more important to me. Delivering the message is more important to me than making sure I have a pretty picture for you to see.
Exactly.
Unless of course that has to, is advertising somebody like, a drag queen or something, then of course I need that pretty picture. But
right. That's great. What do you think are some of the biggest challenges and opportunities facing LGBTQ plus content creators today?
That's a great question. And I really, 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 and I think it goes even beyond digital creation. I think, and especially here in the Tampa community, other communities I can't speak for, but we really, really, I know this is a theme across every single podcast I've seen, every show I've seen. We need support from the community. That is our biggest problem. I think that one of the purposes that I wanted to do was really focus on the good content in the LGBTQ plus community that is out there. So producing, I just in January, I kicked off LGBTQ plus media. And that's really to focus on helping voices like the Manny and Sean Experience, Tampa Bay Gay, helping the Big Gay Radio Show, helping all of these outside content producers come together and say, hey, listen, instead of watching YouTube tonight, why don't we check out what content we have that's in our area that's focused on us, that maybe these people need that extra bump. They need that extra visual, that extra person to say, hey, listen, here's a voice over here. Listen to this voice a little bit, and then people may like it, people may not like it, but to be able to bring that content forward, I think is really important. And, I think our community needs to support. Go on YouTube, go on podcast, give a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. Doesn't mean you have to like every single piece of content they put out, but subscribe and share what it is, drop a comment. I mean, what some people don't realize is that really does, even though it may be pennies on the dollar, it really does make a difference. It really does. It pushes you out, and the algorithms catch on. Oh, look, there's 2 people that like this in the last 10 minutes. Maybe it's something people like, and then it feeds into the thing. So, their participation is necessary. And even, like I said, in this community, especially Tampa Bay, you still see that a new club opens. Do people go to it the first day? Do they ever return? Never again.
Right.
3 months later, the club shuts down. But the club they've been going to for 20 years is still open and still thriving because that's the one they always go to every single week, day in, day out. And it's like, again, you don't have to be there all the time, but show some support. So in our cases, give us thumbs up, like, subscribe, do it all, leave comments on the thing, like help us get our messages out, help our content get out. So really, I think the biggest thing and the biggest challenges we have is our community just sharing and supporting what we do. Sometimes I think our allies are bigger supporters in our own community. And I hate saying that, but it's so true.
It's very true. I think we find ourselves at odds at times because we're doing this podcast and we're representing our community. We're trying to put out positivity and stories about our community. And a lot of times we don't get that support back. And a lot of times it is the allies that are listening to us and we get feedback from them more so than people in the community. And it is hard to get those shares, those likes. It took us a long time to get to 500 subscribers on YouTube. And we've been doing this for 2 years, 3 years. And I'm just we started from the bottom, we started rough. We had lapel mics and whatever. We upgraded equipment as time went on. We got a better camera. We invested in our show because we believed in it. And it's sometimes very difficult to want to continue when the support isn't there. And because this isn't easy, right? None of this is easy. Like you being the only webmaster, the person doing all of this for your website, even though there's 2 of us, it is not easy to put content together every week, edit everything, come on here, talk about it, push it out to YouTube, push it out to social. That's another job on top of the full-time jobs that we have.
Right.
So I totally understand what you mean. It would be nice if the community would support those within their community more.
Yeah. It was one of your videos that got us to Pride at Water Street when they did the silent disco.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
You did a video
awesome.
to it. And we had no clue that was a thing.
No.
So we saw your video. I'm like, we should go to that.
And we did.
And so we heard throughout the event, people were like, oh, I'd never heard of this before. And it goes back to what we're talking about. It's like if our community came together and supported these local people that are providing content, I think that Pride event then would have been even more successful in our community. So, I mean, it's a rough thing where I love our allies, but we also want to enrich our community and know that there is a safe place here when we talk. On our podcast, we will talk about the trans stories and the acceptance of trans people and our entire LGBTQ plus community. We don't leave any of them out. But then you sometimes hear that our members of our community are listening to other podcasts and you're like, do you know they're against certain people in our community? And I'm like, within our community, we have to accept all of our community and continue to support each other.
Yeah. I'm not going to mention any names, but I produced a show for a few years, and I stopped producing that. And it was really, I was hoping that my time on that show and helping and produce that show would really kind of bring a little bit more value and texture to the thing. And unfortunately, it just didn't work out that way. And I just had to kind of withdraw from that. But like I said, I'm always willing to dive in and I will support whatever I'll help produce. I will help, I'll help direct. I'll help write scripts. I don't care. I produce, every year we produce the, oh my gosh, I'm drawing a flat. Robert Rigsby's, Oh my God. I cannot believe I can't think of the name of it. But he does a pageant. He does a pageant every year, and we bring the entertainment portion of that live. So we have a pre-production. We have the host come on, do some introducing, how to tip, things like that. So, and is there money made? No, there's no money made. These are, all of the stuff benefits nonprofits. But again, it's that content, bringing that content, putting that stuff together. And like I said, I'll do whatever I can, to help get out the greatest stuff that I can. And like I said, like I love what you guys are doing, and that's one of the reasons. Like I want to highlight your content and get people. I don't know, maybe you get one view from my help, but that maybe that one person is the person that needed that,
Right.
to hear what you had to say, or maybe it's even like your latest adventure to the hotel. That stuff's important because when I travel, I want to know, is it a gay hotel? Probably not.
Right.
But as a gay person, do I feel safe? Have you made it feel safe for me? Do I feel like I'm being looked at? Ooh, is that are these guys gay? Or, that whole, so it's important to hear and share other experiences. And how are we going to find those out?
Exactly.
And
you have to find out from people in the community.
Right. So,
Yeah.
So I'm just I guess also I just hope that the community really does start stepping up and supporting shows like ours. And hopefully with the efforts that I'm making with the new website, hopefully we can start driving a lot more attention and focus to shows that make a difference, really.
Right. Yeah.
It's my turn. What kind of stories are you most passionate about telling through Tampa Bay Gay?
So, I really enjoy stories about people that are doing things in our community. And when I say like doing things in our community, like we're talking Alexis Delamere with, what does she do? $15,000 to $20,000 a year in in donations to nonprofits with her bingos, to other other organizations like St. Pete Pride, and how they've come from this tiny thing to such a humongous, in my opinion, probably the biggest pride in Florida.
Yeah.
I mean, so it's like those stories, all the community stories that are based like that. I love to get to when we used to do Pride out in the streets. I'd go out in the street and I'd just find, why are you guys having as much fun as you are? Like, let's take a picture and then tell us, we're here for Pride with all my girlfriends, and, we're just having a good time. And that sense of, I get that the G-string is going to draw more people to watch you, but I'm not interested in that. I'd rather see the girls out there just having a good time. Oh, and guess what? They're all straight, by the way, but they're all here enjoying it and having a good time, and that to me is exactly what our community needs to see, that we do have the support. We do have a community sharing those things. And that's the content that I think really I kind of try to push the most. Like I said, I've kind of driven away from mainstream news stories and entertainment stories and things like that, only because, again, Watermark is a great resource and they covered a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
So let me focus on the stuff that doesn't get that attention. And, I'd rather work with than against. And it seems like it's working much better, when they can focus on what they need to do. And now we're going to focus on this stuff. And, I mean, like I said, I've been very, very blessed to have the amount of awards I've had with them. And they have always been a great support structure as far as, honoring that and mentioning that and keeping me aware. And their readers are just paying attention just as more as me. So it's a great group. And I'm glad that, we have that resource. And I just hope that we can really start focusing, even getting them. Maybe in the future, I can work with them and get some of our content, featured on, let's talk about why aren't we talking about our shows on Watermark? Like why?
Right.
Like we should be. There's a lot of good stories, and if it means that we have to write it ourselves, and then let's get to it. Like, but let's focus on, let's focus on what our community does. So I'm really hoping that maybe with the website we can start moving in that direction and start getting our names and our faces and our stories and, things that everybody has. There's, like I said, Tampa has a lot of good content. It really does. It really does.
I like how you talked about kind of showing the other side of pride, because there's a consistent image of what pride is to people. And we know what that image is without even talking about it. But the truth of the matter is, when you actually go to a pride event, yes, there is that image of what pride is, but there's so much more that never gets shown. When we went to St. Pete Pride a few years ago, it was my first time going to St. Pete Pride in all my years living here. And it was just so different. Yes, the parade was there. The image of what pride is kind of there. But just seeing people comfortable in community with people. And not everybody was naked, as people like to think. It was just people actually just having a good time, laughing, sharing. There was people just laying on the ground together and talking and having picnics. And I'm like, that's the pride people don't get to see because it's never shown. So I like that. That's kind of your approach, because I think there needs to be more of that. Some people argue with me about this, but I think we need to dismantle a little bit of what that pride image is, because it's not the full image of what pride is. And yes, that pride sells content for like the mainstream media, right? Because when they cover pride, it's everybody half naked, unfortunately.
Right.
But that's not the essence of pride. So I hope we can continue to elevate what you're doing and really show everybody that, yes, that is part of pride, but this is also part of our pride.
Right.
Is seeing people in community.
Right. And that's really, it's been the guts of our community since the beginning of time. We've always been pushed as the outsider and stick together. And, and then when we stick together, we are larger in groups, yes. Look at Drag to Tally. That's incredible. They just added another bus to go up there. It's like, it's crazy that you have enough support in the community for things like that. And it's like, so the community's there and the community needs it. And it's like, and let's push those stories forward, because these people, especially right now, they're getting demolished by our government. It's, they really need their voices heard. They really need those, they need people to step up and say, especially in these times, and yes. Mainstream media is not going to cover it. So, and at the pride events, you may see that struggling person that doesn't know what to do and doesn't know where to turn. And guess what? They may meet somebody and say, hey, I need somebody to talk to. They hang out for the day, and that person just totally changed their mind that now I can do this by myself. I can do this with the network I have. I can do this with the people around me. I don't need family. I don't need the financial back. You can make it. And there's plenty of resources out there. So, it's a good thing. I hope we all continue to support. I know there's a lot of, we're seeing a lot of bars close, a lot of things change, but, and it's sad, but we really need to just stick together and, and focus on the good things in our community. Yes. The other stuff, let the media cover the other stuff, focus on the good things that we're doing. And because that's ultimately what people are going to see, I think, I hope.
Exactly. There's strength in numbers, and we all need to support each other and stick by each other, because that's the way that we push back against them trying to, for lack of a better word, eradicate us.
Right.
We just have to stick together. Switching topics a little bit. You are also the host of the Big Gay Radio Show. Can you tell us a little bit about that and how that came to be?
Okay, so I guess I'm kind of a co-host. I guess. Okay. So the three main hosts are Chris, Brian, and Esme. They're pretty much the ones that are on live mic all the time.
Okay.
Then I do a community calendar radio spot that's aired probably 2 or 3 times an hour. And it basically, again, it's talking about events in the community. Some are LGBTQ plus. Some are like Job Site Theater, who is open to anybody, but of course it's geared toward, theater, the arts, that type of thing. So it's really kind of just what's going on in the community. And of course I sponsor the show and WMNF. Really, I just try to, sometimes I have guests that I can kind of push my way, say, hey, can you kind of work them into the schedule somehow? So it's, I wouldn't say that it's a lot of moving parts, because you have Sean Kelly, who also does most of your voiceover work for the show. Then you have 2 other people that do, Claire with Project No Labels does the news. So there's a lot of us that are all that put all of our inputs in and then package out, the Big Gay Radio Show.
Okay.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing about that, because I've heard about it. We've listened. I wanted to hear overall concept of how it comes about, because it does seem like a lot of work.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of moving parts, and we all kind of like, I know that I do my portion here, recorded at home. I send it in. I'm sure Claire does the same thing. I'm sure Sean does the same thing. And then Chris, of course, has to put everything on the computer, select the music, put your breaks, all of this. So yeah, there is a ton. And then of course you have, Chris, Brian, and Esme, who are also hosting the show. And I don't know if you guys have I know you do a podcast, which is very similar, but radio, I mean, you have to have this never ending list of topics to discuss.
Yes.
Because some don't fly, some are great, some aren't great. Some people are like, dead on the doornail, and like you just gotta push forward. So yeah, so it's a lot of work, I'm sure. I know my little portion isn't that bad, but again, I'm one piece of this whole image, right? So yeah. But definitely, anybody who's watching, definitely listen to the Big Gay Radio Show. It's
check it out.
Check them out. Give them an opportunity. Have you guys been on the show?
We have not.
No?
No.
I might have to arrange for that to work too.
Okay.
Yeah. It'd be good. It's a little late, but 12 a.m. to 3 a.m. is late. But if you're up for it,
Yes, that is late. Okay.
I can put in a good word. Yeah.
You can hang up.
I think we've talked a lot about this, but I'll still kind of ask it. What does kind of community mean to you? And then how do you see Tampa Bay Gay, and maybe even the Big Gay Radio Show, continuing to contribute to our community here in the Tampa Bay area?
Okay, so first question is,
what does community mean to you?
Okay, so community, especially for me, I didn't come out till I was 20, 21, and I always kind of felt, I always kind of knew where I was in life, especially by the time I decided to come out. That was one of the big things. I came out in like 2 days. It was like, the door's open and I'm coming out. Get ready, whether you're on board or not. But I think one of the biggest things that helped me was that I loved going to clubs and bars at the time, but you kind of always felt out of place. Like, one of the things that I always checked exits. I know this might sound odd, but I always checked exits when I walked into any bar, any club. Always looked at exits, just in case shit hits the fan. I know how to get the hell out of here. And this was in the 90s. So, that was my thing. And for the first time, I walked in to Pleasure Dome with friends. I never looked for the exit. And that to me felt like I was welcome. Like, you're okay here. Don't stress. You don't need to look around, freak out. You're okay. You're okay. You're with people that can. So that is what really drove me. At least I think personally, it made me feel that this community's here for us, here for me. And this is what I like. It may not be my family. I mean, I didn't lose many friends. I didn't lose a few friends. Well, I lost a few people when I came out, so and it was like of course I thought I was going to be alone by myself, nobody be supportive, and that wasn't the truth. I was very supportive, so seeing that community welcome me. Then when I started the website, everybody's like, great, I really like what you're doing. I like the idea, and seeing the community react. I mean, I have 42,000 visits to the website a month, and all of my content is organic. I don't pay for any advertising. So, that to me has always been listening to my community, because my community was there when I needed them, and I'm going to try and give what I can back. So community to me is just, I wouldn't pinpoint it on one specific thing. It was just, you find that group that holds you, whether it's your own family, your found family, as some say, whatever that may be. That sense of community is what I see as what drives me for community. What put me into that is that whole, just being a part of a bigger picture of, you put the love out, that love's going to come back to you with this community. And I really realized that. Again, it was years later, and I didn't even think about it until Pulse, when I was like, those exits, like, I never even thought about that. But then when I remembered the layout, I was like, those exits were the worst possible thing ever. Like, there was no way out of this place. And that's now, unfortunately, everywhere I go, I see an exit. But, but again, but when it started, that community, that sense of community that I received is really what I want to push out to people and get across, in whether that be through the website or the content that I'm producing, or, some being able to go to a doctor that's, a safe place for them. So that really, I guess, would say was my sense of community. And then second question, because I don't remember what it was.
You answered it without even.
Okay, all right.
It was just, how do you see Tampa Bay Gay kind of pushing your sense of community too? Yeah. So you kind of answered it already.
Yeah. So rounding it out here, let's talk about Tampa Bay. What are some of your favorite things to do in Tampa?
Well, I love, outside of the basics, like our Pride events, Ybor City, that kind of thing. Busch Gardens is a huge, I love Busch Gardens. But a lot of the parks in the area are fantastic in Tampa. I mean, whether it's kayaking or trail walking, whatever, the beaches are phenomenal. I really like the outdoors, so I'm out a lot doing different things, going places. But I think, I mean, for me, just being outdoors, I think is, visiting the festivals that are out. Tampa has them, St. Pete has them. Everybody's got, some kind of art festival or something. So yeah, really just being out and doing kind of the, community thing, so to say, is really kind of what I get into.
Yeah, there's always some sort of festival going on,
always,
either here or St. Pete. We are annual pass holders at Busch Gardens.
Yeah, us too.
We love going down to the Riverwalk. As a matter of fact, we went down there last night. We forgot that St. Patrick's Day was Monday, so there was a lot of green happening.
Oh, right.
But yeah, that was a good time. And yeah, there are a lot of beautiful parks where you can just walk trails, see nature. Try not to do that in the summertime because it's a little steamy out there. But
right, you'll get the Renaissance Festival while it's available. That's you got like a few weeks left for that, but it's the pollen's coming, so.
Yeah, the pollen's already here.
And that's all under oak trees, so good luck if you're heading out there.
But yeah, there's a lot to do in Tampa Bay, and being here for over 20 years now, there's still stuff to explore and do and enjoy. Yeah.
And talking about Tampa, so this episode will come out during Tampa Pride Week. Are you going to be there representing? You can have a table, a booth. What?
I support Tampa Pride as an event. Unfortunately, I don't. That's about as far as I'm going to go with that. I do have an event in Tampa in St. Pete that I'll be attending on that day. And again, I encourage everyone to go out and support Tampa Pride, the event itself. I feel like I put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into helping and promoting them. And I just feel like that was not returned properly. And I kind of had to stop that. You know, I'm one person. I don't like being taken advantage of. And I kind of felt like that was my position. And, you know, so again, I'm not saying don't support them, go out and support them. I just, as Tampa Bay Gay, I don't feel it's the right direction for me to go in. But if you're looking for an event later on, the Empanada Festival is happening in St. Pete that same day.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yes.
Oh, good.
No, I was just going to say, as we wrap up, share with our. We'll put all your information, obviously, in the
show notes.
But
thank you.
Where they can find you, your handles, all that good things.
Okay, you can find me on Facebook under Tampa Bay Gay. There are 2 accounts, so whichever the one you want to follow. I tried to merge them years ago, and you got to do this, that, and the other thing, and I'm like, listen, just forget it.
Too many steps.
Yeah, exactly. So Instagram is Real Tampa Bay Gay, LGBTQ plus media.com, tampabaygay.com. What else are we on? We're on Threads, Blue Sky. Most of those are Tampa Bay Gay. Basically, if you put Tampa Bay Gay in any social media platform, we're going to come up. YouTube channel is, YouTube channel, same thing. And yeah, that's just like I said, Tampa Bay Gay, and you should be able to find something. One of our social media outlets.
It's been great having you on. The work you do, I think, is so important.
Thank you so much.
Not just saying that because you're here.
It is important.
It is important.
Thank
maybe somebody who is not fully out but wants to participate and find those events without being seen. Your platform is there for them to kind of have that advantage or have that opportunity.
Sure.
So that's great. And we encourage our viewers to go subscribe, follow, all the good things.
Yes.
Whether you're part of our community or an ally.
Yes.
Right.
And also showcasing other creators and content is also important. And just being super supportive of other content creators and showing their stuff is also super important. So thank you for that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, you guys keep producing the content you are, and hopefully we can, our community can stand out as, what's going right in our community and focus on the good stuff that we are doing.
Right.
Stop getting those stupid stories that, the clickbait stories. Stop with it.
So much clickbait.
So much clickbait.
All right, Dave. Well, thanks for joining us. We're going to wrap this up. Just hold on there for us
Sure.
One quick second.
Sure.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of the Manny and Sean Experience. We'll be right back. Thanks for joining us again on the Manny and Sean Experience podcast. We will have a schedule update our next episode. We are still flushing some things out. But remember, we were on every other week at the start of 2025. That might be what we're doing. We may change it up again. I know, keep you on your toes.
Yes. Just make sure that you have those notifications clicked to know when the next episode is in your feed.
Absolutely. MASXP23 is the quickest way to find us. YouTube, Spotify, all the good things.
Yes.
But thanks again to Dave for joining us today on our little podcast here.
And be sure to follow him on all of his social sites.
Yes.
And be sure to check out the Big Gay Radio Show alongside TampaBayGay.com.
And please share whether you are an ally or a member of our community in these rough times, not to get political on you. The LGBTQ plus community is being censored, and eliminated is a strong word right now, but it is being censored. And the work that's being done at Tampa Bay Gay is so important to our community, and maybe people who are considering moving into our community. Like he said, whether it's a doctor you need that is LGBTQ plus friendly,
A bank, whatever the case may be.
I know we've said it on this podcast a lot. You don't know what it's like until you've been in our shoes. And anytime we start something new, whether it's opening a loan for a house, a car, a new doctor, whatever it is, for us, we have to think, is it a safe place? Will I be accepted? Will I not be treated differently because I'm part of the LGBTQ plus community? So for us, it's almost like a coming out every time we have to do something and interact with somebody new.
Right.
So it is so important to be able to, right off the bat, have a resource for people where they can find that and not have to go through some of the very bad experiences Sean and I have gone through over the course of our years.
Yes.
In terms of finding just a freaking doctor.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for joining us for this episode, and we will see you guys on the next one.
Bye.